Welcome, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. We should actually start with the quote of the day.
Let love guide you, not fear.
Man, today we have a really cool episode, right? We really want to get into a few things about the company, who I am, who we are as a company. I know a lot of questions we get from homeowners is who's behind all this, right? Why do we do what we do? How did it start? Where did you guys get this idea from? Where do you guys even come from, right? So we want to take this opportunity to answer those questions, right? And having my team here, we got the Geeks, we got Alex, we got Steven. They'll be, they took down questions that we get from homeowners from the past several months, years,
right,
that we work with, and just questions that we could give you guys an answer to, whoever, is asking, who's ever interested in this. But yeah, Steven.
And so, I just want to get into a little bit how you decided to start Geek. I know it was during the pandemic, but I just want to start some of your younger years. What formed you? How'd you get to where you are? What was it like growing up?
Oh, that's a good question. See, so just by the way, we did not rehearse this or nothing. We were just going with the flow. So I throw these guys out like, hey guys, any questions you guys have or from homeowners, throw them at me and have this conversation, right? Just something that's really organic and genuine. And so let's take it back to the beginning, right? I was brought here at a very young age, about 6 years old. Our family imported from Mexico. And as soon as we got here, my dad actually was here a couple years before we got here, my mom and my other brother. And my dad was already a roofer. Funny thing, he was working out of McDonald's, and one day he saw a newspaper ad that a roofing company was hiring, a big company here, a big player here in Oregon. And he applied, got the job, and became a roofer, right?
The rest is history.
Yeah, no. And throughout the years, I've always been around roofing. Since I could remember, literally, my dad just seeing his work truck, his tools, always having that interest in him telling me about it, right? And until we got to maybe the age of 8, 10 years old, that's when I got more involved, where he'll take me on the weekends, right? Just to have that extra income, because his regular job was Monday through Friday. And just to make that extra income on the weekends, he'll go and work for another smaller guy, right? So he'll take me with him. Either I'll be in the truck or I'll just see him working, washing, roofs, repairing them. If he needed help, picking up garbage. So yes, roofing wise, it's I've been around since a very young age.
So you were the kid running around with a little magnet?
Yeah, a little magnet, and garbage bags and some gloves. Yeah, okay. Man.
Nice. So, as the Asher brother, right?
Yeah.
Been with you since day one.
Right.
So, when you worked with our father, and seeing him, communicate with homeowners, connecting with them, putting a beautiful roof right at their investment, was that something that you always wanted to do? Was there something in you that was just sparked by it?
Yeah. So having you being there, right, and also having our older brother. He was also, I have a older brother that's 6 years older than me. So he was also involved. He was introduced to the roofing industry at a young age. So learning from him and my dad at the same time is, it just became like, oh, this is what we're going to do, right? About 11, 12 years old, that's when my father decided to go on his own route, right? After getting all that experience working for multiple companies, he decided to open his own. And so at that age, I knew I was going to be part of the family business, right? I already had that in my mindset. I remember one thing that really clicks was when I was in 7th grade, when they were looking into logos, right? I remember sitting in my room and literally drawing out a logo. It's funny, right? It was a typical logo with the roof and a guy with the hammer on the roof, right? He just tried to make something clever, but yeah. Anyways,
Hey, you wanted to feel part of the team.
oh, of course, yeah. I always wanted to be a part of the family business, and I already had that in my mindset. But it's just learning from them, man. It's just been it's been a huge blessing.
So throughout all those years, right? You experiencing different companies, contractors.
Yeah.
You wanted to change the game. You wanted to do things differently. So what was that one situation where like, I don't really appreciate contractors doing this. I want to change this. I want to do things right.
Yeah. Man, that's a good question. I remember going back to, middle school, early high school days. Remember mentioning to Eduardo and his podcast, right? I would skip school just to go work with these guys, right? Because I know we had some family event, that where my father had to leave. I know we could get more into that later on, but where income was really, really low. So for us to provide just for ourselves and possibly even for our home, we would skip school, go work with these other guys, and guys that would actually hire underage people, right? So, man, and just learning from them the good and the bad, right? You see how they really take advantage of homeowners. They take advantage of their employees. One thing that's really, really common in our industry is, telling a homeowner, hey, we're going to install a certain amount of bundles or a certain amount of material. But in reality, they only install a minimum and just return or keep the rest. To me, that's fraud, right? And another thing that's huge in our industry is not paying people.
Yes.
Right. And seeing that and and me being on the roof. Right. So, at my early days, I got the opportunity and the blessing to be on the roof as well and learn how hard that work is. Right. The tear off, the installation. It's not easy work. Right. I know I've done landscaping, I've done other jobs, but when you're on the roof, it's tough work. And knowing that somebody out there is actually not paying somebody to do that type of work, it really does break my heart. So that's one of the motivations, that.
And so, obviously, hearing that contractors took advantage of their employees, right? Especially people that are undocumented, right?
Right.
They don't know they don't know what's right and wrong. One thing I do want to comment something is you are always generous. As a young person, right? And a lot of people made a compliment about that. Even working with you, right? Business-wise, not even brother, business-wise, and Steven can back me up and the rest of the team, is how important treating your employees like human beings.
Yes.
Treating them right, paying them on time.
Right.
And why do you think that's important? Why do you think doing the right thing can have a successful business?
Well, the best teacher in life is its experience, right? And me actually living those experience, I understand how hard it is and how tough it could be when you put in a lot of effort into something and not get reimbursed.
Yeah.
Right. I lived like that for several years. I put in my all. I learned a lot at the same time, and it taught me patience and gratitude. It taught me a lot of things, but most importantly, it taught me how to treat people as well. Like, why would I want to treat somebody like that? And if I don't like to be treated like that, right? So one of the reasons why is, one, I understand, you guys have families, right? You guys have families, you guys got needs. Responsibilities, yeah, we all have them, right? And I see the effort, somebody puts in, and I feel like you deserve, you get what you put in, right? And so it helps to drive, right? It keeps us going. It helps, and seeing people's growth. I love to see that, honestly. It's just seeing people's growth.
I can see that for sure.
It's just, to me, that's really, really important. They say when you measure a man's success, it's not what he's done for himself, but what he's done for others.
Great quote.
Wow.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, that's one of the reasons for sure.
And that's something that homeowners they have to look at, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can get multiple bids, but you also have to look at how the owner, the team, how they are, right? Imagine if a contractor's like, hey, I owe my roofers this much money, and they're feeling some way. Imagine the love that they're missing while installing, right? There's no quality in there. But a company, right, that treats everyone right, it's a one team player, we have unity. Imagine what the homeowner's gonna receive from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because we did a project, last week with Dave. He got 3 bids total. And he's like, hearing what I've done, your reviews,
Right.
how you seem so happy, to be here. He's like, I knew I chose the right company, right? Because I see the qualities are putting, the love you guys are putting on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And that's what something outcoming contractors, owners need to realize. Treat your people right.
Yes. Yeah, because everything, it's going to pass down, right? It passed down from each team member, and people see that, right?
Yeah.
And that's the goal with Geek, right? It's just to keep spreading love, doing things right, and seeing everybody growth, and homeowners most especially like receiving a good quality product with service, right?
And going back even a little further, I know you're talking about your dad and how he was in the industry. When he had to leave, what kind of challenge did that present? Obviously, now you had to figure out someone to work on the quotes, do the phone calls, take the phone calls. Who stepped in for that role?
So yeah, man, that's it's a topic that I haven't really touched on before, and I don't even think we've actually even talked about it.
Not at all.
I remember, and I could take you back to that day. It was my freshman year. I got a call from my mom and my brother, and it's like, hey, you have to rush home, right? So I knew something was off already. And at the time, I was going to Hillsborough High School, right, Hill High, and it was a walk for me. I had to walk a couple miles because I didn't have a bus. And throughout there, I'm like, man, what's going on, right? And
Thoughts running through your head.
yeah, for sure. And I remember getting home. They sat me down at the table, and they were like, hey, dad has to leave the country, because at the time he was undocumented. He didn't have the right papers, and I know, and I don't want to get too much in detail why, but it had to do with another roofing player in our industry that didn't like what he was doing, because he was doing really well. I mean, he picked up that company within a couple years, and maybe some envy could have played a role. We don't really know the answers to this day, which I don't really care.
Right.
But
it did bring up a challenge.
Yeah. So sitting down at the table, they're like, hey, well, Dad's gonna be gone, and he pretty much left the company to my brother and I. And my brother was already, he was an adult, and I remember sitting down. Everybody had to leave, and it was just my brother and I sitting in this couch. And he was like, "Man, this is it. Like, this is our opportunity to.
This is your big chance.
Yeah. Let's just go all in." Because I already had the mindset. Like I was already telling teachers and people like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna run a roofing company one day."
Hey.
Yeah, And so I already had that. So, but that right there was like, okay, now it's reality hits.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Reality hits. So right there, that's when mind shift changed. And it did cause a lot of challengings, because we had that house, right? We had that house. It really set our family back, because we had that house for 13 years. It was a 15-year mortgage. We lost that house.
Oh.
We were literally 2 years away to owning the house. So unfortunately, my mom couldn't hold up and pay the bills. And obviously, Alex being then we have a younger brother as well. So it set us back for sure. I know we had somewhere to stay, but we were pretty much homeless. I know it came to a point where, you had to move out at a young age with another family member. Right. And it was just my mother and my younger brother living in just one bedroom. And obviously my brother, he was, married at the time. So he was living with his wife at the time. So just all that just literally changed, though. It's now that I look at it, it's been a blessing, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's been a huge blessing. But that right there, that's when I started studying the industry more, right? Before we just knew like, okay, it's just a shingle. We didn't know there were so much more components to it, right? It's the research that roofers don't really make, I understood that, now, wait, there's warranties on these roofs that you could provide, there's different colors, there's different types of brands. This is when ventilation was starting to become a big thing. This is where the internet was starting to hit more, right? This is back in 2010, 2012.
So where were you going to get most of your information?
Online, just doing my research online. Okay. Yeah. I know I didn't have a bus, and my mom didn't have time to even transfer me. So literally I would listen either to videos and stuff, walking to the max, because I had to walk maybe an hour and a half just to get to school. And so I had pretty much all that time just walking and, just getting more information on, watching videos, prepping myself.
So one thing I'll say is, I can see how the journey for Geek started at a young age.
Yeah.
Because I see a lot of kids nowadays out there in the neighborhoods, and they're walking around with their beats on, they're walking around with their earbuds, but they're all bobbing their head, just listening to the latest rap music or whatever.
Right.
But you're putting knowledge in your mind. You were filling your brain up with stuff that's going to translate later on and has helped you build the Geek empire.
Right. Yeah, I know 100%. And I know a lot of homeowners, even when I started doing sales such an early age, they were like, well, how old are you? Right. And I get it. I mean, it's a big investment for like, does this guy even know what he's doing? But in reality, yes, like I have, I could say good experience now, right? Just doing all this research and focusing. I mean, not too often. How often do you hear a kid saying like, I'm gonna be in this roofing industry? You don't. And honestly, now like it's like living a dream of mine, that I've had for many, many years. So that's why age is not really the factor, just because how long
it's all about experience.
100%.
Right. And, people that are listening to this, are hearing this, watching it, they're going through the same situation right now, right? Losing a house, families, separating.
Sure.
Whatever the scenario is. What you're saying is the perseverance you had, right? The commitment, the consistency. What advice can you give those people that are in the same situation that you're in right now?
Man, just literally focus on what you want to do. It's if you really have a vision and see yourself doing this, there's no way like you can't not succeed in it. If you put 100% dedication on something, there's no way you can't succeed. Right. Because the one thing you hear a lot is like, as long as you try your best. Right. No, I don't believe in that either. Like, no, if you do really try your best, you will succeed in it. You have to. And the best part about it is like, we're having fun.
I agree.
We're having so much fun. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And going off to that. Yeah. I mean, that's the environment we want to create, right, for our team. Is make it fun, make it exciting, make something that we want to, improve on and grow and try different things. I mean, look at what we're doing now.
Well, I think a lot of that translates to when we're out there in these projects, we're working on these roofs, and the families and the kids, and they see that we're out there having fun. We enjoy what we're doing. And that's why every time we go to certain neighborhoods, we expand. Other homes around there are like, hey, I want those guys doing my roof. Because they can see that we put that extra little detail in it. But we enjoy ourselves. And I think one of the things that's really important, and what I tell a lot of the homeowners, is we'll never know how many jobs we don't get by somebody walking by with their dog and saying, I don't want them on my roof. I don't want those guys around my family. And so those are the things that are really important, is when you can have values that translate and that homeowners can see, this is who I want to work with.
Yes.
Those are the guys. And I know that's something that you've done a real good job of building and instilling in your team.
Yes.
Yeah. And, one thing that we all have learned, if you're going to do something in life, be the best at it.
Amen.
And focus on that one thing. And with here at Geek Roofing, with Jared, you, Steven, rest of the team, is we're just focused with GAF. We're focused on our service. Right? And I think that's what stands us out. That's what we're so unique. Right? We're so unique, and having Jared to allow us to be so creative, right? To go to him for ideas, which one thing I do appreciate you about. And homeowners, they notice that.
Right.
They do notice that. Like the 8-4 signs and the courtesy letters.
Oh, yes.
Little things like that.
Can you unpack that? What do you mean by like the A boards and the courtesy letters?
Yeah, so when we work in a neighborhood, Geek Roofing decided that we don't only just work for one homeowner, we work for the whole neighborhood.
Right.
Why? Safety, service, right? We want to make people feel good that we're there. And so even by having an 8-board that says drive safe, that little sign can change the perspective of how they view us.
Oh, yeah.
The neighbors, the courtesy letters, right? Like, oh, wow, I got my roof done, a few years ago.
Yes.
They didn't drop off letters, or, hey, this neighbor did their roof, but their company didn't drop off letters. Right. And we're not doing just marketing, right? It's for safety. Well, we care.
Another thing also that's really important is, especially since COVID, a lot of people are now working from home. Right. And I'll just give you a quick example. I know several months back, we were working from home, my wife was, and all of a sudden the neighbors decided to get their siding replaced. The reason we found out was the boombox next door and all the banging and tearing down.
Yeah.
And so she had multiple Zoom calls scheduled that day that had to be rescheduled. She had to go find a different place where she can do it. And so having that little bit of heads up, hey, there's going to be somebody working next door or in the general vicinity that might affect the sound quality of whatever you're doing. It's really important. Yeah. And I think it makes us stand out when people are seeing that we're taking those steps to look after them.
Right. And Jared, I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
So, talking about the 8-boards, the courtesy letters,
right?
It came from one idea. And so when you created Geek Roofing, what was your goal? What was your core values? What kind of team you wanted? What kind of homeowners you wanted? The service you wanted to provide?
Man, it's a really, really tough question to unpack because there's so much, right? You're asking me a question that literally took, and it's still taking time to answer, right? But I'll answer it like this, though. COVID must have been one of the best things that could happen to us, right?
Yeah.
Or to me. Why? I mean, look how many doors it opened, right? Look how many opportunities it opened. Look how many people we were able to help. Because as soon as I found out, right, about, the virus and the pandemic going, everybody's going to work from home, it changed my mind. While everybody panicked, I'm like, well, what can we do now to serve? Because at the time I was working for another roofing company, right? And me being a production manager and also running sales, I'm like, what can I do to help? That was my mindset because I know people still have homes, especially now. Like they're staying home, right? And right away it clicked. I'm like, how can I serve these people? I'm like, let's give them free repairs. If I'm in that neighborhood doing a new roof for a neighbor, we have the time, we have the opportunity. Let's go talk to these neighbors. Hey, we understand if we can't afford a roof right now, let us at least take care of it so it could buy you some more time. No cost, and it worked. It clicked. Why? Because remember, one of the first ones I did that to, she cried. She's like, hey, Jared, like, you don't understand. When I told her, like, hey, because she was wondering, she's like, how much is this going to be? Because she needed some pipe repair. She needed a shingle, a flashing was off. She's like, this sounds expensive. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm doing it for free. Right? And she started crying and she's like, well, you don't understand. They just told me that they're going to cut my paycheck like 30% off, right? Because of the pandemic. So that right there, that even just gave me another boost to just go out there and keep helping people. And that really, really clicked on me and like, okay, this is the values that I want to provide for people, right? Whether it is a pandemic, whether it's not, whether you don't know what people are going through. Right, you might come across like being raised, like I said, that thing being a blessing of that situation we went through, being raised by my mom. Now I have that empathy, and for moms that are single, have their family, and we've come across those, right? And we want to help those families. We understand. It's their biggest investment. Sometimes they don't have the funds available. What can we do to help? Right? In reality, that's why we're in it.
Yeah. Even just get a quick story. Norma,
Right.
for example. There's
Right.
a homeowner. We did her project about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
We're in Hillsborough doing a job. Sweet lady, widow, right? In her 70s, comes out. And, long story short, she got her roof done a few months ago. The craftsmanship was not the best. They charged her for about 80 plywood, and she paid over $9,000 for it.
Wow.
They never replaced it. They took advantage of her.
Yeah. She had an inspector come out
right.
and confirmed it. Yeah.
And hearing that from her broke my heart. Right.
No.
Pissed me off, truthfully. There's contractors out there that are doing that.
Yeah.
And it sucks because there's homeowners, when someone pitches them, like, oh yeah, it sounds amazing. The number looks great. But sometimes you lose. And so when I mentioned that to Jared about her situation, he's like, you know what? Let's just charge her for the labor. Right? We'll take, because obviously the material is the most expensive part of,
Especially at the time, right? This is when plywood was
$80 a sheet.
100.
And when I told her, say, hey, this is your number. And she was shocked.
Yeah.
She said, thank you.
Yeah.
And now, help doing that, she has a lifetime warranty now. And she has not to worry about.
Yeah. And this is a lady, obviously, you didn't know, you know that she didn't understand. Right, roofing. She even told us when we sat down with her, like, look, my husband literally dealt with everything. All the repairs of the home. Like, I'm just here cooking, make sure he's fed. Like, I didn't know what was going on. So she literally trusted the first company that went out there, and maybe, who knows, this rep might have not did it on purpose. Who knows? There was maybe some miscommunication, but still, that is something that shouldn't have happened.
Right.
I know she tried to reach out to him. Couldn't get back. You know what? We'll take care of you.
And that's one thing I love about Geek Roofing is how they're part of the family.
Right.
Every homeowner that we've dealt with is part of the family now.
Yes.
Because the way I look at it, even if I'm going for a bid, I'm gonna see them as like my aunt, uncle. Right. I want to take care of them, and that's one thing about Geek Roofing. We want to take care of our homeowners, make sure they're comfortable with us.
Yes. I think we have a lot of heart for sure, and we want to, like I said, share that and just and the reason why we mention our past, I feel like, is really important, is to show why we're like this, right, and why we do, and why we do the things we do now. It's not just out of the blue. We're not here just to make profit off people. Right. I know we understand we have a business to run, but the goal is to really help people out there that need it.
Well, and the other thing is the values. And I think values really carry over. We're not the type of guys that after the jobs are done, we're taking the crews out to the strip club. We're out there throwing money around. Yeah. We respect their families and we want to see them grow. And I think that's one thing that's been awesome, is to have the guys they're not used to that. That's not how the industry is. I'm sure as you guys have all been a part of the industry, there's a lot of vices that are just permeate against all of them. And so being able to be a company where people can come, work, get paid on time, get paid well, be well taken care of, but at the same time, be encouraged to better themselves and not just, here's some money, go waste it. We'll give you back more when your next job's done.
100%. Yeah, you see that a lot in our industry. You really do. And I could tell you that firsthand. Like, I've seen that.
To see the trucks pull up and have beer cans falling out when they open it.
No.
Right. And one of the
drinking on the jobs.
Are a little curious what's going on over there.
Yeah. No. I think one of the benefits of working here with Geek, like, we want to see you succeed, right? We don't just want to see your, do good labor. No, we also want to see you succeed with your family. Like, one of our values is loyalty. Right. It's not being loyal to me. No, like, being loyal to yourself, to the company, to your family, to your wife. That's something that we really, really push. It's just being honest as well. If you do need help in a certain situation, advice, like, man, like, we're here to help, right? One thing about us that's really, really important is God, right? And I know it's in the middle of everything that we do. Right. And we spread that with not just us, right? A small group. No, we spread that with every single team member. And yeah, man.
And I think a lot of it is just even an example of Ty, and we had him on one of our other episodes, is just seeing how he came as a roofer, and that's where he'd been treated as manual labor, you put him as a roofer, he excelled, he did well, and then to see him now where he is, where he's grown, you want to see him succeed.
Right.
And his success has been, you're more than just a roofer. And especially with his vocabulary, someone that can speak the language really well, is very friendly, can deal with homeowners, can deal with the suppliers. There's so many different avenues that someone like him can add value to a team like Geek. Right. And for you to have seen that in him, instead of saying, no, I need a roofer, to allow him to open that cage and fly out, and now to see him really be able to help the company even more.
You know, he's able to fly now. Right, because there's always another version of us that's higher somewhere else that's waiting for us, and that's one thing I do appreciate about Jared is he always mentions, "Hey, that person right there, right? I see so much value in them. They're gonna be this, they're gonna become this person." Funny enough, they become that person. Successful. They made it in life, and Jared's you're so open, right?
Yeah,
you're just so open. Like, I want you to succeed. I can tell that just brings you happiness.
Right.
Right. And we all should have that mindset. Right. Because if someone wins, we all win.
100%.
Exactly. We win as a team, and it's just been awesome to be able to work together. And that's one thing that's been really awesome, is just working together, knowing that as a team, we have other members who are there to help us with this. It's not just going on alone. And that's been a real big blessing.
Yeah.
And if you're finding any value in any of this content and any of this stuff is resonating with you, please feel free to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, go to the Apple iTunes and the Apple podcasts, and please leave a comment. It sets off the algorithms, and that really does help share this content. And if you're finding any value in this, please share it. Other people are going to find some value in this as well.
Yeah. No, and that's the goal, is to bring value to you, potentially even could save you thousands of dollars, family members, just by getting that right knowledge and, making the right decision to your investment could potentially save people a lot of money.
And if you know anyone that's about to start their business, send this video, right?
Yeah.
We're willing to help as well.
And just the journey. I mean, I think, and going back to where you were going and seeing like the value of people, it's because growing up and always, kind of being the underdog, right? Like, oh, you don't know the language. You're not even from here. How are you going to be competing with these bigger companies, right? It's man, anything's possible, right? Especially with God. But yeah, that's why I feel like I see the value in these people. And it's always been like this. And there's times, I still feel like that, right? I remember when I first started Geek, came here with Eduardo.
Yes.
I already had the logo. I got the hat. And I was like, Eduardo, we got to push these hats, right? Because there's this big event coming up. And that same day he got the hats, we went to this event in Portland. It was with, I won't say his name, but he's a big roofing guru online.
Okay.
Probably one of the biggest roofing gurus online.
All right.
You see, and I remember going out there with brand new gear on, brand new hat.
Hey.
I was like, man, this is going to be awesome.
Smile probably because you're all finally getting to represent your own company.
Right. And I remember sitting down with these guys and just there was a handful of, I would say close to 10 roofers. Some were new, some already been in the game for a while now, right? And passed on the mic to me, right? And they're like, hey, so what do you do? Right. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm this new guy, this new player, right? This is what happened, such and such.
And I bet you another one.
Yeah.
As someone, right?
Right. And this guy literally looked at me. He's like, man, you're going to fail.
Oh.
And I get it. I mean, it didn't really hit me like that, but it did. I mean, I wasn't expecting that from that guy, right? Because he gave so much, knowledge. And I'm like, dude, like, I know what I'm doing, right? Like, especially if you compare like what these other guys are. I was like, but yeah, no, hitting that and like just having that underdog mindset, and especially hearing from someone like that though, it caught me off guard for sure, right?
It was a blessing in disguise.
100%.
Well, one thing I can also add to that, because I've been listening to on audiobooks, Patrick Bet David's book about the enemies, and the one thing it says is to have an enemy. And an enemy can be someone who shot you down, someone who told you weren't going to succeed. And it just gives you that fire of, no, I am going to succeed.
Right.
Nobody's going to tell me that I can't.
Right.
And early on in your career, especially with your own company, you're finally able to branch out. And then to be told that, it had to have stung. It must have resonated with you where you're like, I'm not going to let this guy tell me that I'm not going to succeed. I'm going to succeed.
No, 100%. And stuff like that just fuels you to serve better at the end of the day. Because service will never die. Because at the end of the day, that's our callings here in this world, right? It's to serve one another. So as long as we could serve each other and and better our service, finding ways how to better serve others, man, there's no way, you could fail.
And I agree with that. Because anyone can tell you anything, right? Their opinion. But only God knows your story.
Right.
Right. And no one else can change it. As long as you provide service, treat people right, give love, you will win at life.
Especially when you're constantly filling up on knowledge. And that's the one thing about us is we are going to these roofing conferences. You're watching videos, podcasts. There's so much information out there of companies that have succeeded. And so I think that's the best thing about it is we don't have to just start from new. There's a lot of people that have paved the way for success, not exactly in our market, but we can take those things and implicate them here and be able to use them.
Well, look at us now. Like, people get surprised when we say, hey, it's actually a family-owned company, right?
Right.
Like, wait, what? No, they expect maybe this commercial multi-franchise company. No. It's actually, we're a good-sized team, right? We have multiple teams. Grown. Yeah, we've grown, and we keep growing. I mean, our newest member, I would say, is Orlando to a Geek family, as we keep growing. But look what we've done. Like, we just became Master Elite.
After 3 years.
And within 3 years.
Not even 3 years.
Not even 3 years. And it says a lot. I mean, and if you're watching this, check our last episode out. We interviewed our territory manager. He's Jeff with GAF. And he explains how important it is to be a golden pledge and the benefits and how we're part of the 3% of roofers in America that could provide this warranty. So, and it goes back to what you're saying, looking for that knowledge, searching for that knowledge, serving our reputation has got us here, right? And it's working. It's working. And now we could provide a high-end roof, right? With the low overhang. Right. And we could save people money. That's to me, that's what hypes me up the most. Where, and most of the time, to be a part of the 3%, you have to be this huge company, right? Maybe multiple buildings, over maybe 100 employees, so you could produce that amount. But with that comes a high overhang, so it comes a high price. But since we've done it so strategically, man, like we could provide all that at a
right.
So that right there is just, it really hypes me up just because we could help people more.
And, having a homeowner tell me this once, she got 4 bids, right? I was the last one. I gave her all this knowledge, told her the do's and don'ts when looking for a contractor and, be careful with this. I gave her the proposal, right? She looked at the number and she's like, She's like, I was expecting more because of the values we're providing.
Right.
You guys are a little bit higher than the other bids, but I get it. Why now? I understand.
Right.
She's like, you guys are doing things right. You guys are going to provide me quality. Let's do this.
Yes.
Well, especially for the Pacific Northwest. One thing is it's very different here than in other places. It really is. Once or twice a year, the winds are going to come at an angle. It's going to the wind-driven rain. It's going to get pushed in places that if you're not prepared for, it will cause leaks. And I think several times when we have those winds come through and it does hit, we get a lot of calls for roofs that are installed by other roofers that are way below their time that they should be getting replaced.
Right.
And they're getting leaks because they didn't prepare for that. And so I think when we can tell people, hey, no, we understand, and every item that we have on this system is designed for your climate, for your situation. And I think that resonates with these homeowners when instead of just getting a generic quote that may or may not work, they know from the geeks, this is a product that is we can put our name behind, and we've been moving up with the ranks. And so it's definitely something that we can definitely be able to put our name behind.
Yeah, 100%.
So Jared, hypothetical, let's say that you just met with a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we did the roof, they're happy. And they ask you this question. Jared, where do you see your company in 10 years?
Oh. I see ourselves, man.
Or do you want to even go maybe even like 5 years?
Even 5 years. I mean, anything. I mean, look what we've done in 3, right?
Amen.
So in 5 years, I see ourselves really helping the community, getting more involved with the community. I know there's a lot of things that we're working on right now. Is how we could help, the lower income communities where we could supply school supplies. For kids that need help, for families, doing events like that for sure.
And why is that important to you?
Man, because knowledge is everything. Knowledge is everything. I mean, knowledge is what helped us build, this company. I think knowledge is key for any kid out there, right? And it's unfortunate because being in that situation before, right, where maybe my mom didn't have enough for your school supplies, my school supplies, right? Now you're going to school with this, handicap, right? In other words. So, and I like I said, I understand how important knowledge is, whether you're pursuing a career for, being a doctor, lawyer, just you need that supplies and those books, right? Providing books for these kids. Cause, I think that's something that's gone away a bit, throughout the years,
Right.
where kids are not really studying as much or, and I see it, right? Working with youth at our church, right? You see how these trends are coming about, right? Where people are leaning more towards their
Technology.
Their phones.
Books are not a cool thing anymore, right?
Right. But yeah, I know if we could start sharing that, because maybe who's giving them a book, right? That's the thing. And so to have somebody out there handing out books, handing out school supplies, handing out these tools to succeed, man, it's just pushing the next generation forward. Mm-hmm. And if we could just have that little mark in them, I mean, so be it, because it could spark something up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I see myself in the next 5 years. Besides, I mean, now company-wise, obviously we're going to continue growing. I don't see us slowing down anytime soon. We want to do, more videos like this, share knowledge to, homeowners, even share knowledge, help other roofers build their company.
Right.
Yes. Right? So they could how to serve better. I think that's one thing that there's not much out there. How to serve somebody and actually do it with a good heart and genuinely care about homeowners and their homes.
So here's a really important question. For a roofer that's been doing it for a long time, why are they afraid of change? Why are they stuck and why are they stagnant? Why haven't they been able to take that next step? Like, we've reached Master Elite status in 3 years. Other roofers have been doing it for 10 years, 15 years. Why are they not promoting proper ventilation? Why are they not using proper underlayments and materials to help the homeowner have a home that is going to protect them for a longer period of time, instead of just a lot of these roofers that I see out there, they have a name and they've been around for 26 years, but I see their roof and I'm up there and it's like basic. Everything's simple. They're cutting corners wherever they can. And I know it probably has a lot to do with the crew, but it has a lot to do with the values too. Where do you think that roofing owner can improve later on or earlier in his career that would make him be a better roof owner later?
Yeah. It's one word. Laziness.
Right.
Simple as that. No, it's laziness.
Not taking advantage of the resources available.
No, and I saw it. I remember with the quick measure, right? The GAF quick measure. It's a cool tool to use, remember when I first brought this up to my father, maybe about 8 years ago or so? He was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your money on this? Because before Quick Measure actually be more expensive, it was more expensive. It used to be like somewhere between $60 to $80. Now you could get them for, a few bucks. And he didn't understand it, right? Because you don't understand it. You don't have the time, or you don't do the time to actually understand, learn it. So now I'm like, Dad, think about it. I was like, instead of you driving out there, getting on the roof, measuring it by hand. Now you got to depend on your numbers, right? Coming back down, maybe after spending an hour or so measuring every single detail of the roof, every component, you come down, you got to work on a bid, whether you do it on the spot or you have to take it back to the office, work on it, come back the next day, do it again. Quick Measure, you literally type in the address within 20 minutes, an hour. You have all the stuff you need for this roof.
What does Quick Measure provide?
Oh, it provides the measurements, literally all the components, whether you have skylights, how many valleys we need, ventilation, literally every measurement you need from the roof.
And that's one thing homeowners need to look at as well, right? When they're getting a bid, and there's still contractors out there that hand measure, but sometimes you understand they could undercharge you or overcharge you for material.
Right.
With us, hey, this is your measurements. Here's the proof. Here's your number.
Yeah,
exactly. And I even like to show. I like to show them on the Quick Measure because we has a 3D version as well, and you can actually see all the details of every specification on your roof. And what I like to do is I'll even just show it to them. I'll just be like, hey, see, this is your roof. So what I did to come up with these numbers, and I'll say, see, this is 15 feet right here. 10 foot is what we use. So we have to use 2 pieces on there. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, do you see all these angles, all these sharp triangles? When it comes to plywood, I can't cut a triangle, which means there's a lot of waste. And so what this actually allows us to do is it pre-calculates all of the wasted material. So when we come out there and say, hey, this is the price we can do your roof for, that's the price we can do your roof for. Right. The only thing that can possibly change on that is plywood, which usually we include several sheets just to help them with that. But besides that, one of the things that I hear a lot of people say about our product after it's done is, I really appreciate the fact that there weren't other charges. I see that a lot in the industry where they'll get a price that seems as a pretty good price, but that's because, oh, by the way, now that we started it, we really need to add this. To finish the job, we need this. You need to pay more money. And so I think that's been something that is really been awesome, is that we can just tell people, no, these are the prices you're going to pay, and we're confident in that. And we've already calculated everything.
Well, and the reason why that doesn't happen is because we have somebody there. Right. So one thing that's really trending in our industry right now, since we have, Google, right? It's really easy for people to go, or companies to create themselves on Google, right? Back in the day, I remember when my dad started, you literally had to build your reputation from word of mouth. Right. Flyers. Now you could pay people to give you reviews. You could have bots. You could, throw a whole bunch of money into ads, and, now you're ranking on Google. So it's really easy to manipulate the industry now, right, in your marketing. So now you have these companies coming out, investing so much, on Google or online, and they make themselves seem like there's this huge company that's been in business for years. But in reality, it's just a Salesforce team, right? You see that a lot, where now they go out there, they're giving you maybe a really low price or a really high price, right? Because they don't know who's going to do the roof. They end up actually auctioning roofs. And I tell you this from firsthand. I remember working for a dad's company when we didn't have work. People would send us work. Like, hey, can you do this job for this certain amount? And if we say yes, they'll give it to us. If we say no, obviously they'll find somebody that could do it cheaper. Right? And that's just something that's been growing and constantly growing in our industry, where roofing companies are not really roofing companies anymore. They become more of a sales company, right? And there's a lot of big players out there that don't even have roofers in their company, and they consider themselves a roofing company. Right. How ironic is that, right? And so, and that's one of the reasons with us. So when you send, let's say, for example, you have 2 companies, one that has a team, that has a production guy during the project, right, that walks you from A to Z, where you could contact him, I mean, they could contact you guys, right? Before, during, or after the project. You guys are there.
Right.
Now, when you're running this type of company, right, Salesforce, you send another company, it's a sub. They're just there to do their job. Sometimes they might miss the, like, hey, actually, we took off the roof. There's bad plywood. Oh, let's just put it over. Why are we going to waste our time? Because they're going to make us drive and go get the,
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's just because remember, when you pay somebody so low, their mindset is, let's get this job done quicker. Because when it comes to those guys, they pay per job. They don't pay per hour or, hey, get your guys and each guy gets a certain amount an hour. No, it's just one price for that project, right? So the sooner they could get it done, the more they make.
Right.
Right. So why are they going to waste their time to replace maybe 5 sheets of plywood?
Right.
It's going to cost them maybe 2-3 hours that they have to pay their other guys. Might as well just let's roof over it.
Homeowners won't know.
Homeowners won't know. They don't go in there. How often do you go into your attic? Right.
Well, another thing also I see are these, what I call them, fly-by-night companies, where
Sure.
they will come out there, they'll put a big name out there. They'll say like they'll take care of the homeowner, and they'll give a warranty that they have no intention of honoring. Right. A company that will most likely disband, and in the next 3 years they're gone.
Yeah.
And I've actually, even last year, I've met with several homeowners who did that exact same thing. They've actually even paid deposits, 50 or 40% deposits.
Yeah, remember that, yeah.
And got nothing out of it. And one of the guys was even a former employee, someone he'd actually known and worked with.
Wow.
And he'd started his roofing company and promised him that he would do his roof, took 50% of the deposit and disappeared, left the country.
Yeah. No, and Jared, I thank you that you don't send our work to random roofers.
Yes.
We had the same roofers since day one. They're still here.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, as a sales consultant, I'm comfortable and confident. Hey, my homes are taken care of.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine, with Geek Roofing, we have all these, 10 subcontractors. I mean, behind my head, I'm like, wait, I hope, they're doing things right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're changing the plywood, they're installing the shingles right. But here at Geek Roofing, how we had the same members since day one. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Even homeowners like, hey, I think I seen that you guys this roof technician on your Google photos.
Right.
Like, yeah, we same. He's like, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's when I say we're family owned, like literally we create this family.
Right.
You and I are brothers, right?
Right.
You and I are brothers in Christ. Ty is a brother in Christ, but like we all have that family unity, right? As if we were all related, and that's the vision here, right? And that's the goal, and keep growing in that way and having those values, and because those values are going to show at the end of the day, right? Those values are going to show at the end of the day, but yeah, no, this is one of the reasons why we're doing this, right? Is to bring value to homeowners and also warn them about the industry. Because there are some trends, and there are, fortunately, people out there that are just out there for the money.
Yeah, I actually heard one of the guys talking on one of his podcasts. One of the things he was saying is he just tells homeowners, he just looks them in the eyes and says, I'm saving you from bad roofers. You don't know what is out there, but I can promise you that with us, you're not going to have to worry about anything. We're going to take care of it. And it is a construction site. And that's what we tell our homeowners all the time is it is construction. We don't know what we're going to find. We're going to be up there. There might be something that is a bigger issue, but we can just look them in the eyes and say, but we got you. We have this under control. It doesn't matter what the situation is. We will let you know what it is, but we'll take care of you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're not here saying that we're perfect, right? Because we have made some mistakes, and I'm sure we're going to continue to make mistakes. But one thing that really does matter is how do we back up those mistakes?
Yes.
I remember talking to Dean Matthews, he's still a JF rep. One of the questions I asked him, and from the beginning stages of my career, I was like, man, what stands out with these companies, these huge companies that are in business for years, and what are they doing that other companies are not? Like, Jared, when there's a problem, what I've noticed is with these guys, when there's a problem, they're on it right away.
Right.
That's the difference.
They find a solution.
And that right there just makes sense, right? So, yes, we've had issues, right, with either our supplier breaking something, our guy did, mistakes happen. But the thing is that we're there to back it up.
Right.
you know, and that's why I feel like it's really important hiring somebody that you could actually be in contact with, and somebody that's going to be in contact with you during your project and after your project, you know, because something does happen. Hey, we're there, we're on it right away and taking care of it.
Right.
So let's say we have someone watching this.
Yeah.
Right. Or someone comes up to you, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, Jared, you know, I have this team been with me for a couple years, but I don't see growth.
Mm-hmm.
What advice can you give me? Or an upcoming contractor, how do you know this is the right team? What's the ideal team to have? What kind of skills? Like, what would you say to that?
Well, it goes back to your core values as an owner, right? As a leader, what do you hold valuable, right? What do you care about? If all you care about money, is most likely your guys are all going to care about money, right? If you care about helping, all your other guys are going to help, right? Mm-hmm. So it just goes back to the leader and what he holds valuable, right? And from there on, like, you'll see who's with you and who's not, right? Because there have been some people that come and go, right? In our team, we saw some potential in them. Unfortunately, they didn't have the same values as we did. No hard feelings, just didn't work out. It's not part of the team. But the ones that stay, you know, we hold the same values, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it's just, the advice would be, is like, what values do you have? Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Sure. And that what represents your team.
Awesome. And as we get ready to land the plane, I know we used a lot of your time. We've been sharing some really awesome content, and it's been really awesome getting to know Jared and why he started Geek and the whole thing. But is there any advice that you would want to, any last little bit of advice you want to share of why we do things, how we are, and just any last little bit you want to share?
And to add to that, if someone came up to you and says, why Geek Roofing? Because I get that question. You get that question from owners. I've never heard it from you, though. Why Geek Roofing?
Well, why Geek Roofing? Why? Because we care for you, right? These guys right here, I know Ty's not here with us today, but man, like, we're here to walk you from A to Z, from the beginning. You know what's one of the biggest things we do as well is we tell homeowners is like, we're here to acknowledge you, whether you hire us or not.
Right. Exactly.
That's to me, and I really mean that when I tell that to homeowners. Like, look, hey, I'm not here. We're not here to push you and sign up now. No. We're here to give you knowledge, whether, you know, so you can make the best investment for your home. You know, you don't have to hire us. No hard feelings. Even if you need help, and I've done this myself, honestly. If you find somebody cheaper, sometimes they even share that information. They'll probably won't show me like the company, but they'll share like, hey, what do you think about this proposal and the material they're offering? And I'll tell them like, hey, well, here's the benefits to this, and here's the consequences to this. You make your decision, right? So why Geek Roofing? Whether you hire us or not, we still want to acknowledge you and give you, you know, our best opinion. Now, if you do hire us, why? We're going to go the extra mile. That's just one thing that's in us already. We're going to go the extra mile. It's not just rough. You know, one thing that we read from that book is the Lanyap. Lanyap is something that we implemented at really early stages of our. And Lanyap, it's a term. It's a book that we got it from. It's a term from New Orleans, where the street vendors, you know, if you go out there, you order a pound of meat, right? They'll give you a pound of meat, and they'll scream Lanyap. And when they scream Lanyap, it means they're gonna give you another pound for free, right? So that word Lanyap means he's just going that extra mile. So when you purchase a roof from us, you're going to get something extra, whether you get your gutters clean, whether you get your driveway clean, whether you get your whole house clean, whether you get, you know, your neighbors get taken care of, right? And that's feedback that we also get where our homeowners' neighbors are really happy they hired us. Why? Because they got taken care of. Now their driveway looks beautiful. Their gutters look beautiful, or their repair got taken care of at no cost. So now they're complimenting the homeowner, like, hey, I'm really glad you hired these guys because of them, now I have a free repair. Or so you know, you see what I'm saying? Just going that extra mile is really key.
Jared, I have one last question. Yeah. I know this one's really, really just ties everything in. Who is the ideal Geek customer?
I mean, we've seen man, it's a tough question. Why? Because I know a lot of people that do marketing. They ask me that question, like, who is your man? And it's honestly, you see different people. You see from the early 30s all the way to 70, 80-year-old. Yeah. It's just people that like something new, something refreshing, someone that appreciates service, quality. Especially someone that really appreciates service, though, I know stands out to me, because there's those homeowners like, hey, I just want a roof, get in, get out. I'm busy.
There are.
Right? And I get it. But someone that actually wants to build that connection with us, no matter the age, that's somebody that we're actually going to connect with and work with and have a long-term relationship with. You see? And I mean, even going back to like Rosemary, one of her first projects that we did, right? Yes. We build a relationship with her. And because of that, you know, all her neighbors signed up with us. Yeah. Literally.
There's like 7 houses in a row that are now Geek
and her collar's like, yeah. And not just that, but I ended up spreading the whole neighborhood, remember?
Neighborhood, I think
there's like 60 houses out there now.
Yeah. And you can't say like they're all the same type of people, right? Yeah. They're all different. Rosemary has like 5 kids. Her neighbor, it was just him and her and his wife, right? So they're just all different, but they all appreciated good service. They appreciate something new, and they appreciated obviously the quality of work.
And that's one thing that humans will never reject is a peace of mind and good service.
Yeah, and another thing also, this is the second time we've actually gotten this compliment, but I know recently, didn't a homeowner say the roof was sexy? Yeah. I know one of my very first customers, it was right over there by Marcel, by Rosemary, and that neighborhood, I was out there talking to some of the neighbors, and one of the guys, he was like, yeah, I'll take a quote. So I came out there, was supposed to talk to him. His wife was there. He wasn't there. I ended up pitching her. I was very new at the time. He didn't know a whole lot. Very nervous. I was not expecting to talk to her. Right. And so she had a lot of really good questions. And it was one of those things. It was one of my first ones. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. Well, a year later, I got a call back. And they're like, hey, no, we want you guys to do it. We've already seen all the roofs you've already done. And they chose to be a Geek customer. And I remember afterward when I was just going over everything, he was just like, man, I don't think you probably heard this before, but this roof looks sexy.
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's what we want. We want people that are going to be proud of their roof. Right. It's not just something, it is your home's biggest investment. You're putting a lot of money into it.
There it is. That's our ideal customer is somebody that's proud of their home as well.
Right.
For sure. Somebody that takes pride into their home and, you know, they appreciate their home and their investment. That's awesome. One of our ideal customers.
Well, thank you for being on this episode and sharing all this wonderful insight. Thank you, Alex. I know this has been
pleasure.
It's been really awesome being able to share this of the vision and the drive of the company. And I just hope you found some value. Again, click that like button, subscribe. We're going to be putting out more content. Definitely hit that those buttons. It's going to set those algorithms off.
Hey, do we have a quote of the day, Jared?
A quote of the day.
Quote of the day.
You just put me on the spot.
Put him on the spot.
What do you have?
Let love guide you, not fear.
All right.